What a great day to build this cedar planter box trio set. The free printable cut diagrams are in the description below, and I combed through them twice to make sure all of the pieces were included. However, there were still discrepancies. This is my third top seller, and this big guy specifically has been ordered 41 times alone. The reason it has been selling so well is because it stands a little taller, so dogs and pets cannot disturb the plants as easily. Plus, it is the perfect height for happy gardeners in wheelchairs or those who might have difficulty bending down. And it gives hanging plants and those droopy plants more room to flourish. I market this set for $90. This guy is the 3 Picket planter box. I market him at $30, and this guy to buy him solo is $40. Generally, people will end up buying one of these and 2 of this size, and that's okay. That's a hundo. This build is going to require 10 pickets. I am cutting the pickets in order from 1 to 10. For this walkthrough, I am going to be building the medium box first. It takes 3 pickets total and only leaves a very small handful of scraps. Although I do not promote scrolling ahead because this is clearly media gold, but if you have a good grasp on how to build this box, you can skip ahead just a tiny little bit. Whichever nail counter is green, that is the box I am currently working on. This video is scripted before creation, so I only know the number of nails required for the medium box. So my guesses are as followed: 75, 80, 95, and 250 total. Yeah, math. The first board is ripped down to a 1/16 under 1 3/4. I chose this width because I can get 3 equal strips from one board. This will supply me with the legs, the sliver for the middle, and the top boards. Stack 2 of the ripped boards and mark 16 inches. We will cut a total of 8 legs, which use almost all of the board. Stack 2 full width pickets and cut 2 14-inch pieces and 3 12-inch and 3/4 pieces to finish the sides and bottom cuts. Hold please. Grab 2 14-inch pieces. Make sure the good side of the board is facing up and apply some glue. I am using a Titebond Ultimate 3 exterior wood glue that isn't as thick as Titebond Original or Titebond 2. Each leg gets 4 nails in each. I use a Bostitch 18 gauge 1-inch nail, so I do not have to worry about the nail sticking out the other side after I fire it in. Apply glue to the side of the leg all the way down. Then make sure that the board is flush with the other leg and shoot a few more nails. I also like to shoot a nail close to the bottom to make sure that the boards are tightly held together until the glue dries. And then repeat the process using the other 2 14-inch pieces. Apply glue down the interior lip of the box and grab 2 12 3/4 boards. For this project, I am using boards that were badly cupped and also thrown aside because they weren't that pretty. If your boards are cupped, they will affect the top lip's dimension a little bit, which is why I miter them last. You can rest one of the sides against your table saw fence and push against the other side when gluing and nailing these in place. And repeat for the last side. The bottoms generally fit the tightest when they are running parallel with the other 12 3/4 boards. I use 3 nails in the end grain and 4 down the side. I do not glue the bottoms because it is a big mess, a lot of cleanup, and even when close to 1.5 cubic feet of wet dirt, the nails hold up just fine. The final strip we ripped down, I cut the middle section of the bottom first. I like to measure it so it's a tight fit. This helps when nailing it in place. Look how perfectly that fit together. Wow. 2 nails in each of its end grain. I checked for wobble, but this box is perfect, just like all of you. Measure how long to make the top lip. Most of my boxes end up being 15 5/8 inches. Cut off an adorable little triangle and miter the boards to 45 degrees to 15 5/8 using the first piece as a guide for the other cuts. A little glue around the top and set your lips so that they are tight against each other. I shoot a nail into the first corner when I begin lining them up to prevent them from moving around or falling off the project and getting glue everywhere. By angling the nail in the corners, I ensure that the nail is being driven into a board. These nails have a tendency to go between the legs rather than into a board. One final nail in the middle, and voila! Minimal scraps. I drill a 5/16 inch hole, about 2.5 inches from each corner, and one in the center for drainage. Just look how nasty those boards are. Before ripping the next set of pickets down on the table saw, I cut off the 12 3/4 side from one of the pickets. Then rip down the shortened picket and 2 others to 1 11/16. Cedar is a very lightweight and porous wood, and it runs through the table saw like butter. Actually, I feel like butter would be harder to cut on the table saw. Stack 2 pickets, mark 13 inches, and cut off 4 legs for the small box. The leftovers from these are just waste. Then grab 2 of the shorter ripped down pieces and cut 4 of the legs. And while we still have the long leg handy, use 2 full-length ripped down pieces to cut the other 4 legs. One of the boards from the end I add to the tall box pile, the other is waste. Board 7 gets 2 10-inch cuts, then a 14-inch, then 4 8 3/4 cuts. Separate them into the appropriate color pile. Board 8 gets two 10-inch cuts, two 14-inch, and two 8 3/4 cuts. Board 9 has apparently just come back from battle. Look at that huge chunk missing. Three 14-inch cuts, and two 12 3/4 cuts. And the last board gets five 12 3/4 inch cuts. As I make my cuts, I have been separating the pieces into their respected piles so I don't have to sort them out later. Onto the adorable baby planter box. Same exact build until you get to the bottom boards. A few answers to common questions on my other Picket planter videos. Yes, you can use pressure treated pickets instead of cedar pickets. I like the look of cedar, but if you can only find treated pickets in your area, they will have the same outcome. However, I would suggest adding a liner or trash bag to the interior so that there is a barrier between the plants and the treated lumber. Most chemicals used have a low toxicity, but if you grow edible food, the National Organic Program will pull your certification due to the lumber not being part of the national list of allowed synthetic materials to be considered organic. The liner could be as simple as a cut-down trash bag. I suggest stapling the bag to the top of the sides, but not over the top so you can still glue down the top lip. If someone is going to be moving a box around, they are going to grab it from the top lip and you do not want it to pop off. See, I'm doing the table saw fence trick. A wink. Since the box is smaller, it takes less wood. So one of the 8 3/4 bottoms goes over halfway, meaning we need to rip down the final board to size and not have to cut the little sliver later on for the middle. I set my table saw to 3.5 inches and rip it down so it will fit. Again, checking for wobble. If you do have a wobble, find out which 2 feet are not making contact with the ground, put a scrap board under one of the legs that was making contact, and press down on the ones that were not making contact. And do this until your box has no more wobble. Since the glue isn't dry, the box is quite easy to tweak. Measure your tops and cut them down to size. The tops for mine measure out to 11 7/8. Align the first one, secure the corner with a nail, and finish up the others. Four holes in the bottom of this baby box. Baby planter box, some dirt, tulips and roses.
Look how adorable!
The big finale. Guess what? Same build with the exception that you are using 3 pickets per side instead of 2. I see a lot of comments on Facebook about people showing off their proudly made planter boxes, and the grumpy gramps are firing off comments like, "That doesn't make you a woodworker," or "You're selling those too cheap, you must not value your time." That's exactly what their voices sound like. This is why I do not look at my comments on Facebook or TikTok at all, not even a peek. For starters, I made a lot of money off these in the summer. It's a great project because these boxes require zero sanding, zero hardware, zero finish, and it's okay if they have a few blemishes. Price them for your specific market and location. Again, I charge $30 for the 3 Picket box. I purchased the Pickets at $3.28 from Lowe's. For 3 with tax was $10.67. 100 nails cost me 80 cents. They are $8 per 1,000. Glue is maybe $1 per box, so $12.47 a box. No, I don't care about the electric bill. $17.53 profit for less than 15 minutes of work. Make these in batches of 10 or so, get a good rhythm going, and you're making close to $100 per hour in your shop. For this box's bottom boards, that's kind of hard to say, I like to recess them down so that the box isn't so deep. Not only does this save on how much dirt it requires, but it also cuts down on the amount of weight this box has to hold. I line up the board with the crease where the 2 sides meet. This makes it easier to nail the bottom boards in blindly through the side. Measure the bottom little sliver board, cut it to size, and nail it into place. Measure, glue, and nail the top board. It will be close to, if not the exact same size as the medium box, since they have the same top dimensions. And you've done it. This is also the last time I will be recording outside. My remote shutter hit the ground and exploded, and I can't get it to work. There's been 2 trains, people walking up and down the street thinking I'm an idiot. Yeah, so back to the sanctuary of the garage.